Okay,
fucking
what me and
listen.
Jar Jar do in the privacy of your own room
We have a review to do today, dude. I mean, we've been putting it off for a week.
Okay, well, I have been doing some very in-depth Madam Web research here.
I see that.
And I really feel like I'm starting to build up a case as to why doing a Madam Web review is some of the stupidest shit we could do right now.
You're not wrong, but we do gotta get something out of watching it. And like, I don't know, I don't think I'm crazy for saying that.
Okay, I got a great relationship with a lovely little man out of it, and he's great.
Leave Jar Jar out of this.
No.
Yes.
Okay, give me 3 actual valid reasons we should do a review.
Listen, well,
Can you give me 1 actual valid reason we should do a review?
what'd you think, Jar Jar? What'd you think of the movie, man? You like it? You like Madam Web?
Jar Jar loves Madam Web.
So the thing is with Madam Web is there was a lot of hype, I think, behind this movie. And we're not any new people to talk about it, so I think but yeah, generally, we've heard a lot of great things about it. Did deliver on expectations. I think the most important thing comic book movie has to do first is characters. This is my roommate, by the way.
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm his roommate.
But, so yeah, we're here to talk about Madam Web, and I figure we could just start with the characters, I don't know, and just kind of get into it that way. Because I think it's the most important thing comic book movies should get done, and movie doesn't really have a lot of characters. But yeah, no. What do you think of Madam Web to get started with?
So,
what do you expect from superhero movies in general, Nick, since it's his first time being in a video?
So when I'm seeing a superhero movie, I want something that's going to make me feel overwhelmed with, oh shit, that was pretty cool. Like, whether you're doing a funny superhero movie like Marvel tries to do 95% of the time, or you're trying to do like a dark, gritty DC type movie, there's got to be a cool factor at some point in the movie. The characters need to feel relatable. You need to obviously like your main character, or at least feel some sort of anything towards them, empathy, sympathy, any feeling whatsoever towards any of the characters. You want them to feel human, you know? That's the thing. They're super, but they're still human. With most superheroes, at least. Even the ones that are aliens.
Yes. And that requires talking like a fucking human.
Yeah. The dialogue is a big thing in this movie.
Yeah, I think the what you were saying with like expecting to actually have characters feel like you could talk to them, have them feel tangible, and that's so important because that's when you can relate to them. These people are spinning webs and doing crazy, they're supposed to be spinning webs and doing crazy things in the movie, and the trailers told us we'd see that, but I think there's a lot of moments where when that kind of fantastical thing happens, you gotta care about who's on screen and what they're going through. And this movie feels like it's only ever trying to do that stuff because it's like, the studio kind of wants us to have something happen, so let's make up a backstory with spider people and lore that doesn't actually deliver on a lot of character or heart involved in it.
Hey, look at all these characters that you are going to care about at some point.
When they have their powers.
Yeah, when you have reason to care about them. It feels like it's trying to have us care about the 3 girls throughout the whole movie. It's like, it keeps showing us flashes of what's going to be. Yep. And it's like, oh, they're just these 3 ordinary girls and they each have their own thing. And they're each a very different stereotypical archetype of what I think 40 to 50-year-old white men think women are and teen girls are.
I know, because we're in danger of being chased by Ezekiel, our main villain, and we are in big trouble, right? And of course it's the shy girl who's wearing a skirt and is very nervous about being open and stuff like that, and is actually scared of a lot of things. She's the first one to be dancing on a table around a bunch of other men. Strange men in a diner while they're in danger.
And played by who?
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. How do you think that makes, actual, any girl that actually is anxious or somewhat anxiety-filled, to see them have, any kind of, shy or anxious representation in a movie, and it's supposed to be this, awkward, shy girl, and you get fucking Sydney Sweeney to play her, a fucking supermodel? It's like they try to play her off like she's this stereotype that Sydney Sweeney just... It doesn't match. And nothing... Sydney Sweeney herself does fine. She does a fine job.
She was miscast because I think she could really pull off a character like that. Kind of, if the script and the movie itself kind of gave more time to develop that and really kind of live in it. For example, Andrew Garfield, he's a really good-looking guy, but that movie really sells you on him being this reverted, kind of awkward person. He's attractive, he skateboards, but he's still awkward in his performance in the movie shows him develop more confidently with his relationship with Gwen. You don't really get that here, where you could have used like Dakota Johnson's character, Madam Web, helping her develop out of her shell, because that would have made it for an arc instead of one scene where it's like, okay, I'm dancing on a table now, even though it contradicts character.
She's awkward, and then she's dancing on a table with boys.
Yep.
And there's nothing that, like, builds to that.
And then the movie never brings up her awkwardness or shyness again after.
Yeah, she's just kind of like the smart one. They all feel like different personalities that the same person could have.
Yep.
It's like they separate one small part of somebody's personality into each of the girls and have them only represent that one thing.
That's one thing that this movie does, is it wants to be an ensemble piece with all these characters. Yeah, we get so much time focused on Madam Web, which I'm okay with in terms of just, you have to develop your main character, but I think this movie should have centered around all the characters from the jump, right at the very start, to make it sell you on an ensemble piece, because by the time you even try to get any character with everyone else, it feels too quick.
I feel like if we didn't get that intro scene showing her mom in the jungle and all of that happening, and we figured that out with her along the movie, that could have had more character development, just more being able to see her character react. Because when she finds these things out in the movie, she does not react to it at all. She's just like, oh, hey, I figured this out, and now I'm going to go fly to this place.
I'm reading. Bye. Yep. That's the thing this movie does a lot, too, is it doesn't really let you infer information with characters. It really thinks you're stupid. This movie treats the audience like it's dumb, because anytime we could be getting a moment, for example, say the main character finding out something about the trauma revolving her mom not being around. And instead of us, like, feeling that, she explains it out loud. She's like, I'm reading the stuff that my mom was researching. Wow, she was doing this. And she's saying that out loud to the screen, so it makes you feel like you can't really infer or just feel anything, because the movie doesn't really want you to. It's just doing that to kind of check off a list of characters to get to the next scene. I think overall the characters, for me, they really did feel flat, because I think that's where this movie really needed to shine, and unfortunately, with that, I have a lot of other things that can maybe make up for that. So, okay, we have some unlikable characters. Maybe the action can really step it up, right? So, the action scenes in this movie, I genuinely see the intent in them. I do, but for me, it didn't work. It felt like kind of a diet Jason Bourne, where it was trying to be gritty and realistic, and I appreciate that style because it can really make you feel like a sense of tension. But here, it feels so odd because at times, especially when you're dealing with Madam Web's powers, we're constantly flashing forward to random scenes. When a fight scene's about to happen, we get a flash forward to it like 4 or 5 times, because the audience, remember, we're not smart enough to infer that she has these powers already, so the movie keeps re-explaining it. And it creates this weird effect where it disorients you, so you never actually have a moment to get hooked into an action sequence, or at least I never did. Yeah. For me.
So my thing with the action sequences is I do agree. I think that every time it started to get, like you were saying, gritty, or like it felt menacing for Ezekiel to actually be on camera, it feels like it would just stop.
Yep.
Like, it would die. Like, the most menacing part to me with Ezekiel wasn't, like, the ending of the big action scene, because you knew how that was going to end up. It was, like, one of the first scenes when they first come off of the train. Yeah. And he's there, and you see him, and him walking upside down looked real silly. It looked real silly. It didn't look great. But when he was actually chasing them, and it was just, like, these 3 girls with no powers, and he was doing all this crazy, bizarre shit, it actually felt... Sorry, is cussing okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love cussing. Doing this bizarre shit, it just felt out of place, which sucks because it felt so cool, but they didn't do it enough for it to feel like it belonged in the movie.
No, you're right, though, because I think Ezekiel is a prime example of something that could really work in the action, because I think there's a lot of moments in this movie that really it tries to make him look intimidating, and it could work. However, I think they always take a safer route with the way the fight scenes can go and the way Ezekiel's supposed to be intimidating. Because Madam Web's solution for every problem taking him out is either hitting him with a car or letting an inanimate object do the work for her.
It feels like Madam Web doesn't do a lot in this movie. It teaches that lesson to her in the beginning with her coworker of, okay, just because I have this ability that I can see things doesn't mean that things are going to have to be that way. And that she's able to, like, maneuver and kind of change what happens in fate, I guess, is kind of what they're trying to build. But she doesn't really learn how to do anything with this. Even at the end of the movie, she's not the person that fucking pulls the trigger. She's the person that witnesses a poor man getting destroyed by an ad placement. which is really unfortunate. They had the issue with his voicing.
ADR.
ADR. They had
man.
the ADR issue, and he was being like a piece of shit about it. Not a piece of shit. He was being like, "Hey, you're ruining this character that I was trying to do and build. What's going on?" And they got mad. No, they were like, "No," and they made him die to a Pepsi sign.
Yeah.
They were like, "That's the most embarrassing way for your villain to go out." You know the ad
Oh.
placement we've been throwing every 10 minutes in the movie? That's gonna be what takes you down.
That's the thing that got me the most, though, and it's especially like not even just action at this point, but the filmmaking itself on a technical level astounded me because you don't see that a lot in big budget movies. Actual full scenes where someone is talking, a character is talking to you right here, like I am facing the camera, and their mouths are not moving,
Yeah.
but lines are being said, or their mouths are saying something else clearly, and their lines are saying something entirely different. And it's kind of insulting that they would think that is just the
That's
okay
okay.
state. It's
Yeah.
like that was just so odd to me to see, and it really read as Suits standing over a project who don't care about the actual general final product. They probably didn't even watch it.
Oh yeah, no, they're like, oh, they know Spider-Man. Oh, yeah, here's 150 million or whatever.
But don't
Whatever.
say his name though. Don't say Peter.
Oh yeah, don't say Peter. Don't say Peter.
can't say Peter.
Can't say Peter. That's Marvel.
Okay. I had to say Peter. Sorry, I just need to make sure you didn't.
They're
get
like,
sued.
in case this movie flops, we do not want it attached to the Spider-Man name, okay? If we're bringing Andrew back, it's going to be for good damn reason. I don't think that they're going to do another Spider-Man movie in the Sonyverse now.
I don't think they're gonna do a Spider movie. I think they're gonna keep talking about doing it, but
So
never
people
actually
keep buying
doing it.
tickets to see the movies?
So it's like it'll connect.
Yeah.
I promise you. That Vulture scene from Morbius will make sense one day. I promise you. It's not going to.
Like, hey, the whole movie
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with Spider-Man, but that post-credit scene.
It's at a point though now where it's so intentionally done. Like you can't be like, oh, they're not. I guess they're just. There's a disconnect with the audience. I feel like at this point it's kind of intentional. There have been certain producer names on the projects that have gone haywire, like Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man series, to Venom, to now. And I'm noticing that trend, and it's not going away. And I do hate, because sometimes these movies, they can get, and everyone's open to their opinion, that's fine.
Yeah.
I just do think that these movies do need to be held to a higher standard than what they are, because at the end of the day, a character like Venom, a character like Morbius, even the Morbius the Living Vampire, a character like Madam Web has deep lore and interesting things that you can make a good movie about if you just really cared enough to try faster than saying, oh, this makes a box office number. That's clearly a box office number that they're not making with this movie. Who saw this movie?
I saw this movie, and I wish I could take it back. No, I don't. Here's the thing about Madam Web. It's going to be bad. It's not even going to be good bad. But there's going to be one or two moments where you can chuckle to yourself just about how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because there's good bad where a movie's bad, but it's fun to watch. I wouldn't say Madam Web is fun to watch in a bad way. I'd say 3.5 minutes of Madam Web is fun to watch in a bad way. Any Madam Web clips you've seen on YouTube Shorts that have been like, hey, look at this movie, that's enough. Yep. You're good. You've seen what you need to see. All the things you think the movie is what the movie is. I had low expectations going into it, and it managed to meet all of those expectations.
Yeah, no. I expected this movie to be rough. It's a trend to hate this movie. Ironically, still, though, I don't really feel bad for this movie getting as much hate as it does, because I don't blame the directors. I don't blame the actual filmmakers. I blame the fact that the studio put them in a position to turn out a product that's this bad. You know, the main director of this film, this is her first big project. She's made several TV shows, some in the Marvel Universe, some outside of that, like Dexter. She's made some episodes of Dexter from, I think it was Dexter, from what I hear. Don't quote me on that, but pretty sure it was Dexter. She's made stuff before. She deserves a better chance than that. And when you're plucking in like an indie director who's used to making stories that are more personal, and you're putting them in a headspace, in a setting where you need to tell this grand, epic scale scope connecting world and universe, and then you cut scenes out to restitch it not to be that, it's not their vision anymore, so why did you bring them in the first place?
Yeah. And I mean, to have execs come in and ruin a movie like this, where I'm one of the people that watch the Marvels and genuinely love it.
I did like the Marvels too. We saw it together, actually.
Yeah, we did. And it is up there in like my top 10 MCU movies, personally. I think the action is great. I love almost everything about that movie. And for me to go and see this and see another Marvel like main woman cast and see all this stuff and then see the execs ruin it, and I know the kinds of reviewers and people out there that will take any opportunity to shit on a woman-led movie at any point. It sucks to see the execs ruin a movie like this. God, did I want this movie to not be shit when I first saw commercials coming out for it.
Because you never want to give that crowd the power. Like, it's not fun. Like, that's one of the things I was actually kind of worried about with reviewing this, is I don't want to be lumped into that crowd where, you know, the people that scream and cry when a woman breathes in a movie.
Yeah.
So, but I think if you're going to make characters that are important for representation, try harder with them and act like you care.
Yeah. It did not sound like it cared. It sounded like they heard Woman Spider-Man. They were probably like, oh, what? She's not like Spider-Man? And they were like, the villain's like Spider-Man.
Yep.
And they were like, okay. And greenlit it. And then they saw the finished product, which I guarantee you the original cut for this movie was probably a lot better than what we saw.
At least coherent. And cohesive.
At least coherent.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot better doesn't mean good.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
But it was definitely a lot better than what was released in the theaters.
I want the Madam Web Snyder cut now.
Please.
Give it to me now.
Black and white. I need it black and white.
Chrome edition.
Woo!
Yeah, did you see Madam Web? Did you love it as much as us? I hope you did. Nothing against you if you did. We all have our movies that connect to us. This one didn't. Bye, guys.
Madam Web.
Madam Web. See you with our Craven review.
Woo! Oh.